Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda.
Good evening, Patriots. How are you? Okay, we got a health minister, guys. He's called Ryan Park. All right, and I've asked him on the show numerous times, but I think little old Ryan's, I don't know, maybe his mum rules him or something, or he's, as Bo says, he's, balls are in his wife's purse. I don't really know what's going on, but I know that I had a phone call today about a 75-year-old lady who has been forced out of Reynolds, ends up in hospital, gets thrown, out of hospital with nowhere to live, still really got nowhere to live. They've given her 3 days accommodation. She can't walk. She's got a trolley. And they were just going to leave her as homeless, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what our government's doing. But, Ryan's also got this problem of, guys at Bulli Hospital here, all right, we had nurses working there, and there was 18 nurses, all got cancer, all from the same batch number. And there hasn't really been that much talk about it. But, it's been brought out again by Sharon Cousins. And I really think that Mr. Park needs just a couple of emails, guys, out there, all right, with the witness statement. And the 18 people, all from one batch number. I mean, surely we can use that going to the cops, you know what I mean, as an example, guys. Cancer, like, you're kidding me. We all know what's happening with cancer. So this lady's around Toukley, people. So if anyone around Toukley would maybe be able to just reach out and help and just be of a bit of comfort or whatever to that lady as she's going through what she's going, that would be very, very good. Now, the councils, guys, right, they're going ballistic. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but a gentleman was fined $5,928 from leaving some cardboard out in the back alley next to the bins. Now, I told you we got stung $4,000, all right, for having a bit of dust on the road.
We didn't
Refused to pay it. Okay, another story. But yeah, these guys are just getting out of hand. $5,928 for some cardboard. Actually, you know, while he was getting stock in with a new fridge, or there's been a bit of a problem, you know. Yet down the road, the council can't even clean up. It's an absolute shit fight, you know. But it's just what we got going on, guys. All right, this is why we really need to get moving. Grafton Hospital, a bit late, but apologises after cancer patient dies while waiting for treatment. Well, the thing is, guys, we should be looking for treatment in every place that we can. And I do have a great video that I've got to be able to cut up, get out to you people. Because, yeah, there are other alternatives, guys, as you know, that I'm very stringent on that fact, okay? Devastating floods still in Queensland, guys. It is just like crazy. As I said, they closed down the abattoirs. Now they're taking out 1 million head of cattle. They know exactly what they're doing and where they're heading. Albanese's still at it, but as of just 20 hours ago, guys, Albanese signed government funds for PNG scholarships to study gender. So we can't spend the money here. We'll just launder it over to the New Guineans and they can do it over there. There you go. Just incredible. Yeah, millions of dollars. Energy experts rubbish Albanese government's renewable. Well, the fight's on. You know, as we're hearing, guys, there's supposedly only 2 people in it, you know, and that's Dutton and Albo. But, you know, we're going to make it clear that we're not voting for neither of those. So, you know, what do? Yep, we got to let them know. I don't know how we're going to do it, guys, but God's got a plan. We'll be doing it, okay? Come in, Caz, when you're ready, Don.
Well, actually, that's really interesting because this article came across my feed today, right? Now, where is it? There, I think that one. So now it says here that fresh polling spells trouble for Teal's MP Allegra Spender in the seat of Wentworth as Liberals gain ground ahead of federal election. Now, I went down here and I looked at the stats, right? Now, Miss Spender's net personal favourability sits at 14% compared to Miss Knox 24%, while the Teal's brand has dipped to negative 10% compared to Liberals at plus, or actually it's got a negative 13%. So I found that actually really interesting. So, yeah, just...
look, they're all up there usually annex out there. Caz Labor's now running around ripping off other people's signs in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? It's just Isles Bowl. It's on out there. They're a bunch of school kids, mate.
Yeah,
they're out there taking each other's signs and it's just ridiculous, you know. Like
I know. I think this one breaks the internet though.
And these are the people running our country.
Yeah, but do not draw dick pics on your ballot paper. Last time he got in.
That's gold.
Yeah, no, it's good.
That is gold.
It's good. All right, but we got heaps of news around the place, okay? So, look, there's lots of people that are confronting these MPs, which is great.
Election, Elizabeth, and you don't want to answer questions about how your policies are going to make it really hard for me to own a home. You already own 3 homes, Elizabeth. I had one more question regarding the power of renewables. The cost of renewables, it's the number one issue of this election, cost of living. The number one issue we discussed was cost of living, and it didn't even get brought up. Elizabeth Watson-Brown said that housing is a human right. She owns 3 houses. 2 of them are investment properties.
Yeah. I thought we are just delayed with the...
So she won't answer the question?
No, we have to stick to...
Is it impossible to answer, Elizabeth? I mean, you've got a few minutes to answer here. It's a cost of living election, Elizabeth, and you don't want to answer questions about how your policies are going to make it really hard for me to own a home. You already own 3 homes, Elizabeth. She says that housing is human right. I don't have one.
I think how are we going to get you to believe it?
Well, because I want to ask a question of Elizabeth. Her office won't answer my questions.
Right, so you can do that at her office.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Now, that was...
This up too, Caz. You know, and I know this, guys, but yeah, this is what they're doing, okay? There's sheep starving in South Australia. They got the hay for them and they're not allowed to get it to them, guys. This is what we're all by design, folks. All right, the longer we're sitting at home, not doing anything about it, instead of rallying up and telling them to piss off, okay, and getting on with our lives, all right, this is what's going to continue to happen.
Look, we know that, and I meant to play Wade's thing on that, so yeah, but anyway, I haven't got around to it yet. So, so she's not answering the questions. When he goes to her office, she won't. So he's actually confronted her. She didn't like it. They don't like it at all when they're actually confronted by something, you know. And, Albo, listen to this, is confronted by a question as well.
You previously said that Donald Trump scares the shit out of you. What scared the shit out of you? And
got no sound on that.
Those things about Donald Trump?
No, it's Prime Minister. I have a constructive relationship with the President. No.
She's just reminded him that he said that Trump scares the shit out of him. Okay, so she's asking what?
This is good.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
Constructive phone calls with him.
But no, sorry. What scared the shit out of you? You didn't answer the question. What actually scared you about him?
As Prime Minister,
you said this.
As Prime Minister, I have a constructive relationship with the President, and I look forward to continuing to engage with him.
Wow. He's, on the back foot.
He's on the back foot, mate. Yeah. He did say he's shit scared of him. You know, like, he's a liar. He's just a liar. He's just an absolute muppet liar, and he's been caught out so many times, and people are still prepared to vote for him. But
I don't know that anyone is.
Well, they're
no,
not.
I don't know. I don't know that people are going to be going for him somehow. So now,
look, I think they're going to install Dutton, mate. I told you my pick. That's what I think.
Well, we shall see. Now, the other thing is that John Ruddick, he has thrown down the gauntlet here. He said, hi, Paul and Hanson, the Libertarian Party is not contesting McMahon because we want to do what we can to support independent candidate Matthew Kamanzuli. Turf out climate psycho Chris Bowen. I hope One Nation can consider the same. So very interesting.
One Nation can go and get stuff, mate. You know, as I said, I like the lady who asked me, I shouldn't have said that, but anyway, the person who asked me if I would promote, you know, what they're doing, but sorry, darling, I can't. All right, they can't stand up for our free speech. Guess what? They're not getting anything from me or this show or anything else. I'm sorry. Not you personal, right? It's them.
Yeah, the immigration debate is also heating up with a lot of chatter online about that. And you've got this comment here, like, government is out of control. Australian taxpayers are paying more than 200 former immigration detainees, including murderers, rapists and pedophiles, a fortnightly cash payment of $1,000. Now, that comes on the heels of an African man who was killed because he was attacking people with a pole.
Ridiculous.
It is.
Anyway, it's all coming at us, guys, and it's coming out faster and faster and faster. All right, they're into Victoria now, shutting down all the parks down there. All right, it's on, young and old.
Well, that's it. And, you know, you've got people standing up, and it's actually being covered by Ben Fordham. So the fight back has started. Angry Aussies about iconic sites are being declared off limits. Now, a group is leading a campaign to remove the padlocks. So, interesting.
Cool.
Now,
bolt cutters, guys. Bolt cutters or grinders. They work really well. Battery-operated grinders. Yeah.
Well, Madison King has actually just basically rehashed what she's been saying about the land rights with the Aboriginals.
Many times I have to rehash the same topic. The government will give us back our land, but the big corporations and the billionaires overseas are the ones that control the narrative. They give us back our land, they hand choose a select handful of Aboriginal people to control the situation, to give them a platform, pay them money, while the rest of us get nothing. That's how it works. And then they'll bring in government agencies and organisations and call it maybe Parks and Wildlife and Conservation. That's what they do. But only a handpicked of Aboriginal people will have a platform to act as if they speak on everybody else's behalf. But there's a lot of us that are kind, good people, but we don't get the same benefits as the hand few that are selected by big corporations. So have a look at these people. They're always sitting on boards. Conservation, wildlife. They have all these little trips overseas paid for. The average Aboriginal person in the community, and I'm saying 90%, 99.9%, aren't afforded the same thing. But these people are selected for a reason, because they're called the yes sirs and the no sirs, and you tie them back together, and that's who I keep calling the purple circle.
Yeah, no, really well said. You know, like, yeah, but anyway, look, now
Look, we always knew it was all part of the UN's, you know, that's how they were going to do it, guys. We've known it for years, man. So, yeah, we're just watching it play out.
No, that's it. It's interesting. Look, Andrew Bragg, he has actually weighed in on the super, and he's actually done a really good breakdown of it.
What do you think about that?
I am vehemently opposed. Just look at the expert commentary. There's a guy named Sol Eslake. He's probably the best known housing economist in Australia.
This is one of the dodgiest things I've ever seen. The housing minister, Labor's housing minister, using Big Super's research to help her. Now, this is like asking Dracula if he wants more blood at the blood bank, because the super funds want to keep all our money under lock and key to charge high fees on, and for these funds to invest in property themselves.
Some of the studies that have been done on the instant house price increases.
This research is the same, commissioned and paid for by Big Super. This is a fundamental point of difference. We want you to have access to your own money to buy your first house, and Labor want to keep all the money in the super funds so the super funds can own the houses and then rent them back to you.
It's true.
None of you politicians want to do anything for us, but because, you know, if you get there, you'll have your little scam to keep yourself comfy, and while all of us just suck it up. Because that's the way it is with you politicians.
Well, they're still speaking the truth at the moment, though. So, all right, now, this really annoyed me, actually. So, Malcolm Turnbull, listen to this.
Australian version of Donald Trump. Do you think that person would be tiptoeing around, worrying about offending the United States? Of course not. He'd be standing up for Australia, and this is why I say I'm not saying I'm an admirer of Trump by any means, but and this is one of the reasons people voted for him, because they felt that he was on their side. Okay.
No, Malcolm, they did not feel that he was on their side. We actually examined his policies and went, hey, these are really good policies. Nothing to do with feelings, nothing to do with liking anybody. People went, hey, hang on a minute, why can't we have that here? So Malcolm, again, is just trying to whitewash the whole situation. So
Trump goes in and uses all the laws to, you know, we had 130 days, I think it was, with Elon, you know, he's got to drop out now, you know what I mean? Because he's allowed as a special envoy or whatever it is, special government contract for, 130 days. They've used every little bit that they had, Caz, to their advantage, mate. They've done very well.
And I found it really interesting with this comment as well from Elon.
A lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress. Where I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while earning, how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? It sounds, nobody can explain that. So something's, we're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening.
Figure it out? I think they've already figured it out. No, they're going to expose it.
They figured it out a while ago. Yeah, they're just laying it all out now.
No, that's right. Lady Liberty from Western Australia, she's fighting for gun rights. She's had this to say as well.
Let's just go back a few steps. So the laws started the rewrite back in March 2022. I remember because that's what motivated me to run on my Senate campaign for Give Gun Owners Affair go. I went to Paul Papalia's office to confront him and just ask him what he was planning to do to our community. And then as the years rolled by, we saw it got worse and worse and worse. And now we're in this untenable position on March 31st when all these new laws come into effect. So what's it been like for you trying to run a business when things seem to change daily? You just said before that you sold one of the firearms that were banned late December that was approved, then it's suddenly banned. How has that affected you running a business?
Well, you can't really run a business. It's taking a toll financially. I tell people when they come in for advice, which is non-stop at the moment, that the advice is only as good as it is today because it has been changing. It has been changing almost daily sometimes. It's the advice you give in the mornings maybe not so relevant the next day, or it's not really.
All right, so there you have that as well. So that, and the thing about that is that about 10 years ago they released the list because security people have security licenses for guns, right?
Yeah.
They're pistols usually. Somebody released the amount of security people, the names of the security people. There was hardly a John Smith on there. It was all Muhammad this, Muhammad that. It was like, and we're not just talking, like this list was huge.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that, now Rad has asked the question, which is very viable, how is this not discrimination? NAB taps into Islamic finance market with Sharia compliant loans. They get interest-free loans. So how is it that they can do this? Why can't we take them to court and demand the same?
We should be able to, Caz, but no one's going to listen to us, mate. It's just totally upside down bullshit. It is just wild. It's a Freemason free-for-all out there.
Well, it's starting to look like it, isn't it? So yeah, no, I would think so. Somebody is having a go all across the country, and whoever it is, kudos to you. So look at these great big billboards. CCP says vote for Labour.
Unreal.
And
they're really good. There's a big CCC against the CCC contingent in Sydney that come too when we've been on a few rallies and that. They're really good people. Drive around their vehicles, mate. They're unreal. Got them all done up.
Oh yeah, no, and look, you've got this guy here, basically saying immigration causes homelessness, which is true. That's just a truth bomb right there.
Yep.
But also you've got a lot of the Chinese people who have come up over here to get away from the CCP, getting harassed by the CCP. So it's not a case of religion. It's not the skin color. It's an idea of liberty.
What do you think the Chinese police stations are here for in our capital cities, guys? So they can run down their own, they can do whatever they want, but they also keep an eye on their own people. They'd have them all tagged.
That's it. Look, the Queensland floods, let's just play a bit of that because we haven't covered it at all.
It's terrible, guys.
There's a house built out of stone, wooden floors, walls, and windows.
It is devastating, man. And here we are just down the other end. We got, sheep starving. We can't get hay bales to them that we've got, it's just incredible.
No, it's just honestly, we could just fix it. Look, we're going to fix these problems. Like, that's not the issue. We can sort all of this rubbish out. We just got to get rid of this jackboot off our neck, which is the government.
Yep.
All right. Now, Shallow Chow or Scotty has put this together, and it's good, a good piece of comedy. Or satire.
Announces that we're cancelling 500,000 student visas and sending those guys back to their own countries. We're slashing migration to zero, like actually zero. And we're also going to drop all of our carbon emission targets as part of the Paris Climate Accord. We're going to go for our own electricity and we're going to create our own future in Australia. We're actually going to develop our own manufacturing industries with the cheapest electricity on the planet. I can't believe what I've seen and woken up to this morning. This is the greatest news I've ever heard. We're going to make houses affordable for young kids now. We're going to give you the best opportunities that we possibly can. We're going to make education the best quality in the world by getting rid of people that are undermining those opportunities for you. And not only that, we're going to have more houses on the market for you to buy. So the prices are going to come down a little, so that takes some pressure off that. And by the way, like cheap electricity, gosh, this is going to be incredible. The transformation for our country is going to be stunning. This will all happen really quickly too. Once we turn off the taps and drop that net zero target, you're going to see so much change. The pressure's going to come right off the economy and you are going to have an amazing life. And look, I see pigs flying and I think I can sell you that bridge over there. Sorry, Australia, you're not going to get any of that. All you're going to get is right in the pooper, like I've said it before, pooper.
April Fool's Day. There was a fair few of them out today.
Yeah, no.
We ain't getting nothing like that. You're dead right, Scotty. We ain't, mate. We're getting the total opposite, mate. They're going to drive everything down. There's not much left.
Well, there is some really interesting things afoot. One of them is this Trump has told Starmer that he goes no free trade with the US without free speech. So he's warned him on that. But also you've got this situation in Germany.
This case needs your attention. An American woman is being punished by the German justice system, or rather the injustice system, for a crime that the German government itself should be held responsible for. The 20-year-old American Fallon B was physically assaulted by an African 64-year-old man in a train station, completely alone. So in a panic, she defended herself, grabbed the knife, and accidentally stabbed him to death. Now the rotten German justice system wants her locked up. Germany has become a cesspool of migrant crime, an absolute nightmare for Western women, and this case proves it.
Interesting. So she's American. So, and they want her locked up. So, you know, like you not only have a right to defend yourself, you actually have a duty to. You know, you don't basically give up your life. Like, you know, and they're trying to.
Our duty and our right in 1996, didn't we?
Well, that's it. You know, but the thing is that it doesn't mean that, like, we've still got it. Like, I mean, if somebody breaks into your house, do you just surrender your children? No. Like, you fight. That's what you do. Anyway, so now there's a really big story today with regards to Marine Le Pen. So she's been found guilty for money laundering. However, she's basically they're going to jail her, but she's barred from running in the next election.
Do you realise that on this fateful day, Monday the 31st of March 2025, such a critical day, what this represents for our democracy and for our country, when millions of French people will be denied by a court judge without any possible recourse, the candidate who was until today the favourite to win the presidential elections? Surely that must shock and horrify all those who respect democracy and the rule of law.
Now, what's interesting about that is that Marine Le Pen, she had pledged to immediately begin mass deportations, pledged to exit NATO, hold a referendum on leaving the EU, opposed Ursula von der Leyen's EU president, call for peace in the Ukraine. Also, what's really interesting is that apparently she was leading by 18%. She was expected to win by 18%. And then on top, no, you can't. So the French people have gathered outside of her home and they're demanding that the Marine Le Pen's guilty verdict be overturned. But you also have this to note, and that is that the Romanian opposition leader was banned, Brazilian opposition leader banned, French opposition leader banned, Ukraine suspended all elections, Moldova banned the opposition party, Germany tried to ban the AfD, and America tried to ban Donald Trump. And this is all in the name of saving democracy.
Well, democracy is, well on the cliff edge, Caz. That's for sure, mate. But I like what
Well,
Trump's doing around the place. No trade if no free speech. Albo said he's had 2 very interesting, phone calls with the Trump. So, I suppose those interesting phone calls, I'd imagine on Trump's side would have been the same: lay off people, or we won't lay off you. So we
well,
just got
that's
to
good.
watch this happen, guys. But in the meantime, we have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of resources to help us get that work done.
Yeah, well, Trump actually weighed in on the Le Pen situation and said this.
Far-right leader got convicted in court and is now banned from running for office for 5 years. Do you have a comment on
That's
that?
a big deal. That's a very big deal. I know all about it, and a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be convicted of anything, and I don't know if it means conviction, but she was banned for running for 5 years, and she's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country. That sounds very much like this country.
Yeah, he's referring to, of course, the lawfare that's been going on, which is that judges are able to make decisions and deny people their democratic rights.
Yeah, and they're still doing it. Look, they're still killing our kids, guys. They're advertising for the kids to go and get the flu vax. It's just bullshit, the measles vax. It's crap, man. My own family's dealing with it now. These stupid friggin' preschools, putting pressure on people. You haven't done this yet. Fuck off. We're sick of kids with autism and fucking disease, immunodisease symptoms, and then you got all this 5G whacking everyone out once you get the jabs into them. You guys are just criminal. Piss off. We know your game now. Fuck off. We've had enough of you. Get to the governors Mondays, guys, or whenever it is. Get to your governors in your state and end this fucking tyranny. That's what will do it.
There's been a really interesting news breaking. Now, this is the victim, Jeffrey Epstein, and Prince Andrew's accuser, Virginia Giuffre, put out a Instagram that she had 4 days to live. Now, this is the photo that she put out with it, right? But it just doesn't look really right. Like, she didn't have a proper top on. She doesn't seem to be hooked up to anything. Anyway, I thought that was a bit odd. So I had a little bit of a look into it, and I discovered there was something really fascinating. And that is this. This is her. So Prince Andrew's ex-Lady Victoria Harvey delivers brutal message after Jeffrey Epstein's victim, Virginia Giuffre, says she has days to live. She basically says that it was karma. Okay. Now, so she put out, she said that, I'll just try and find it. She said that she, what was it? Sorry, I'll just try to find it here. Oh, I've lost it now. She said that she believes that, I don't believe it though, because the FBI are right on her now and arrest warrants are coming. She's conveniently dying to evade jail. So I thought that was really fascinating. Or she's also called for her husband, Robert, who's been estranged from the children, to speak up. And I found that interesting. But what I found really incredibly fascinating is this. Oops. So there was a minor crash between a car and a school bus just after 3 p.m. on March 24th in Perth. There was a 41-year-old passenger in the car. That's Virginia's age. Police say that there was no reported injuries. So you have that to start off with. And then you have this. I wasn't going to entertain any theory around Virginia Giuffre's accident other than the car crash happened. But where in Perth does any school bus do 110 kilometres per hour in a location where the traffic is turning? And why don't the emergency services have the reports? So I found that really fascinating. So
the old AI come up with a scenario. Maybe. Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, and now the other thing that's really fascinating at the moment is we did a little bit on the remote viewing. However, this is new to me. All right. So what this is this is CIA's gateway on remote viewing. It's from page 22, and it's cover breathing for healing and energy activation. But when you read it, what they're actually saying is that if you vividly imagine colors, certain colors, you can manipulate your body's electromagnetic field and promote healing and physical well-being. I'm not saying it, guys. They are.
They are. This is what they're doing, guys. This is what I talk to you about. They're creating a artificial, right, what they would call a 5-6G Ethernet, right, totally artificial. Why? To hide the other one so that we can't access it. Okay, they're dumbing us down all the time. All right, but I'm telling you, we have a lot of abilities, guys. All right, and I'm just learning that now. I'm going through some stuff, as you know. All right, but I think we found the key, maybe. All right, and yeah, we'll keep you in touch. But yeah, there is some wild technology out there, guys, that they do not need you to know about, because if they do, you are a very, very powerful unit in your own right.
Exactly right.
And they know it.
Now, Holly put this for us.
One of these things is not like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong.
Now, for those audio listeners, what it is it's basically looks like Albo's wearing a mask, and it's basically a flap straight over his ear. So, very fascinating. Lots of interesting things are happening at the moment.
The world of the Matrix. Who's who in the zoo? I'm telling you, it's a matrix out there, and I'll tell you straight up to you guys, I don't know who's who in the zoo. All right, I really don't. I know where I stand, my wife stands, Cazza, and the other people that work in the background of this show, and that's it. Okay, that is it. That's why we do what we do here, and we keep putting it out, and we ask the hard questions when we get the interviews, because we'd like to know.
We've covered this a little bit in the past, but it's good to be reminded about how these wealthy elites manipulate things.
Say it, I will. Social engineering through music is real, and rap is the most influential and destructive of them all. Most people argue that music is just music and that hip-hop just reflects reality, but that's not true. Music creates reality. For example, when NWA released The Police in 1988, violence against cops rose 300%. That alone shows you how powerfully music influences societal and cultural trends. What the industry won't openly share is the suppressed history behind the rise of gangster rap. Just like the CIA introduced crack cocaine into black ghettos of America in the 80s, thus creating the crack epidemic, the music industry has its nefarious ties as well. In the early 90s, high-level music executives had private financial interests with newly built and privately owned prisons, and they ordered hip-hop artists to diverge from conscious rap to promoting drugs, violence, and sex, thus resulting in the mainstream advancement of gangster rap. The covert goal was to encourage hip-hop artists to promote criminal behavior, to increase incarceration rates, and fill up the privately owned prisons, which would in turn make the executives richer. We've seen the same trend with pharmaceuticals influencing pop culture, given that 50% of songs include illicit drug references, and opioid sales have increased 129% since 2000. Music we see today is nothing but controlled hypnosis over youth. Now remember, if you can control the music, you can control the children.
I can't deal with the music. I hear them go past here in the cars, man, and it just drives me. Kazza knows, man. It drives me freaking crazy, guys. It's a vibration that I cannot deal with. That rap shit and all that evil crap, man. I'm telling you. The devil owns it, and it's wicked, and I'm telling you, it's bad vibes, guys. Bad vibes.
Yeah, well, Tom McDonald's taking us out tonight, but he's actually doing just a guitar piece, so that's okay. Look, now there's this here, and this is reported by Jim Ferguson. So there's been a stunning turnaround in dementia patients as they revive after a megadose of vitamin B1. This person was 84, and they had advanced dementia, and a high dose of vitamin B1 regime basically transformed them. So they know that look, all of the elites are on these kinds of things. Don't think that anything we know, they know, okay? So the thing is that they just don't want you to know.
Very good comment there, Zelda Whiting, and I was going to touch on that in closing the show. volunteers, guys, let's get organised, okay? We are not going to be the difference at the polling booth, even though we're still going to try, all right, because we know they steal and they just select instead of, voting and electing, all right? But, we need people to do the scrutineering, guys. We have got to outnumber them. All right, we've got to be there. Now, they're going to bring the cops. They're going to bring fake security. I'm telling you, the polls this year, they are going to have fake security guards there. They're going to have big guys there. Their name's going to be Muhammad, okay? And they're going to have a big beard, and they're going to look really tough. And, let's see how tough they are because Guru is ready to front them, okay? They ain't going to be that tough, guys, all right? We need numbers. You want to be in this fight of this election, all right, or selection or whatever it is, and you want to let them know you're on the field, you got a job to do, guys, and that is be there at those. So thanks again, Zelda. You're dead right, darling.
Now, Charlie Kirk, he's put out, he does some great work, but the most succinct understanding of the morality in freedom, Christianity, and the founding.
Common law, because the Declaration only refers to God 4 times in the Constitution. It doesn't refer to God at all, and it only articulates the structure of government.
So first of all, remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 9 out of 13 of the original states required you to be a Bible-believing Christian to serve in government at the time of the founding. All 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. 9 out of 13 required you to be a Protestant, except Maryland, which was Catholic, which still required a declaration of faith. Almost every single one of the original state constitutions, Pennsylvania included, they had, I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in the original state constitutions. You remember, we're a collection of states before that. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. So common law is inherited from Blackstone, who was Christian. A common law is an outgrowth of the scriptures. So let's go to 3 principles of common law: presumption of innocence, due process, and jury of your peers. All 3 are biblical principles, wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor justice if you are rich or poor, which is in Leviticus 19, right before the most famous part of Leviticus 19, which is that you should love your neighbor as yourself. But before that is that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor the rich or the poor, which is the idea of blind justice. We get that in the West, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal. Neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you're all one in Jesus Christ, which we get the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas. They're not Enlightenment ideas, which is they kind of get conflated at the time. But more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal. Okay. Laws of nature and nature's God. The last paragraph of the Declaration reads as a prayer. It says, we appeal to the supreme judge of the universe. Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ. It says in Revelation that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne. So in the Declaration, they were praying to Christ our Lord as a prayer very specifically. Thirdly, as I said on stage yesterday, Deuteronomy was by far the most quoted book, religious or non-religious, in the time of the founding when they were putting together the Constitution. More than John Locke, more than Montesquieu, more than Blackstone. So the book of Deuteronomy, which talked about laws, customs, traditions, it was Moses' farewell address. As he's about to say goodbye, say, hey, good luck in Canaan, guys. Here's how you should set up your form of government. But finally, and most importantly, let's look at actually what the founders said. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral and religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian and was so Protestant that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population.
No, Charlie, well, you're a little bit wrong there. I'd like to see you, Charlie, and a few other people actually come out and talk about the Jews, mate. You never will. I think you're controlled too, Charlie. No, I think he's controlled, mate, because you can't get these people to talk about the real friggin' issue, man. They will not mention it.
What he says, though, about the Constitution was founded within the Christian theology.
Yeah, what he says is 80%. Yeah, my word, I agree with you. All right, but I'm telling you, you get him to talk about the Jews, mate. Israel. No. Won't happen. Will not happen.
A lot of people won't do that. But
but it's still... You can pick them.
Anyway, so look, we're being taken out by Tom McDonald, and so you can't cancel you can't cancel all of us is the name of this song. So if you want to close the show, I'll hit play.
Yep. Okay. So, yeah, there's something, guys. If, people aren't really ready to talk about, the real thing, that they're, I think anyway, that's the way I run my little thoughts back here anyway, guys, all right? If they won't talk about it, all right, well then, and that doesn't mean you have to talk about it all the time, continually give shit on the Jews or Israel, all right? But there's a state of Israel and a nation of Israel, all right? And the state of Israel is totally satanic, all right? And the nation of Israel was God's, favorite people, as he put it. Okay, so, let's not cross the borders, all right? We know what's going on, and we know there's a bad side of Israel out there, and these people have got to start naming them and talking about them. Anyway, we got witness statement. We got Ryan Park, and we got the governors, guys, all right? So in this, whatever way you want to do it, Ryan Park needs to be contacted. We got people 73 years of age being left out on the street, homeless, coming out of hospital with a walker, all right, with their frame, God help the cops pick them up because they'll taser them or something, That's what happens. What a joke. All right. Ryan Park, you got to get your act together, bro. You really do, mate. Witness statement, guys, we got to get it out, right? They're trying to hold back the, the information on the number and stuff like that now, guys. All right. As I said, we've only got the one in New South Wales. All right. We got swabbed in the stables on the other two, and they were no good. Okay, but we do know we've got one. It's New South Wales. So let's keep going. Okay, let's keep pushing it. All right, and let's get to the governors, guys. Whatever day it is in your state, you need to be there. All right, and you really need to start and get there because this election's going to ramp up. We need to let these people know that we got the pressure on them and that we know that they know that they know that we know. And it's as simple as that, guys. All right, the whole world knows now. Well, most of the whole world. We just got to let the other idiots that are still sleeping out there work. Find out, yeah. All right, yeah. You're not tippy-toeing around. It's exactly right, Frank. There is no time to be tippy-toeing around at all anymore, mate. You're dead right, buddy. In their face, just like they're in our face. All right? All right, yeah, everyone will sidestep questions, especially, look, Kelly sidestepped a few, so did Sue, but next interview we do with Sue will be a bit different. Anyway, that's all right, guys. She's willing to do it. And, we don't need to be told what the problem is. We're quite educated on that. When we ask a question, we want to know what your policies are on it, not what the problem is. We can tell you that. We've been studying it for 5 years now. So if you do come on here for an interview, that's what we want to hear. Not have the problem explained to us. We want to know, what do you got that you're going to do about it? Okay, so what are you going to do about it, guys, in the next couple of days? All right? Get on the emails. Get things going. All right? Keep the pressure on. Good night, guys. Thanks again. Glad to be here with you. Thanks, Kazza. Thanks, Mel.
Good night.
They told me, be a man, boy, toughen up. Then they let women become men. They tricked me. They told me, speak your mind if you're brave enough. And I spoke up and I got canceled quickly. We were always too young and too nice, and now we're too old and too white. You're either too left or too right. Well, we're speaking our minds tonight. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us, and you're more than welcome to try. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause we're standing here side by side. And you can't cancel all of us, we'll burn the stars and the stripes. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause the internet ain't real life. They told me, be a man, boy, just like your dad. They told me everything I am is toxic. They said the color of your skin doesn't make you bad, but mine makes me racist, got it. We were always too weak and too afraid, and now we're too male and too straight. You're either too real or too fake. Well, we're speaking our minds today. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us, and you're more than welcome to try. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause we're standing here side by side. And you can't job away for something I may have said online. But you can't control a man who won't comply. And you can call me every name that you might think will hurt my pride. But if you think you're stopping me, you're out your mind. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us, and you're more than welcome to try. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause we're standing here side by side. And you can't cancel all of us, we'll burn the stars and the stripes. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause the internet ain't real life. 'Cause you can't cancel all of us, and you're more than welcome to try. But you can't cancel all of us, 'cause we're standing here side by side.